Go. Right. So Eleanor is going to be our model and camera person. Slightly trickier with a small foot. There's two things I want to show you, and two things that people have asked for. First is very, very simple. The second is modestly simple. So the first is going to be strapping for a plantar plate lesion. Plantar plate is a short ligament that runs between the proximal phalanx and the metatarsal head underneath the foot, and basically what happens is that when that ruptures you end up with that situation, and it becomes incompetent, it stretches, or it ruptures completely, and sometimes it can be painful under the met head. So what we want to do is strap it down. I'm going to make the tape slightly thinner. This is low dye strapping. You do need something quite sturdy for this. Micropore will not cut it. So the only bit that you've got to really be careful of here is where you attach it. It's got to be attached to the proximal phalanx. If you put the tape around the joint or higher up, all you'll succeed in doing is strapping the toe into that position, which is actually extending the proximal phalanx, which is what you don't want. So the bit to do is just get it straight over there as low down as you can get it. Then pull those tails through the middle. Plantar flex the toe as much as you can and cross over underneath. I'll just bring the camera around so you can see so that's the top view, and that's the underneath view. I might have even been tempted to go a little bit longer with those straps. Maybe not crease the skin like that, but that toe is very definitely strapped down. Right, so that was for that. This is a slightly different type of taping. This is kinesio taping, which is different insofar as it's elastic. There's a lot of different ideas and models for how it works, most of which I strongly suspect to be, well, I can't really say what I suspect them to be in front of Eleanor, but not very good. But what you can definitely say is it is elastic strapping, and it's very, very good for strapping a hallux valgus. So you could do this as an alternative to a night splint, which is a lot less aggressive, and sometimes you can do it for symptomatic relief as well. So 2 pieces about the length of the foot, 2 pieces about the length of the toe. This is just how I do it. I make no representation. This is the right way. A tricky thing with this stuff is not to actually remove all of the paper. You see that's slightly stretchy. And the anchor points must always not have any stretch on them. The key thing with kinesio tape is not where you stick it, it's how stretched it is. So 1 piece around there, bring it up to about the beginning to the middle of the arch, I'd say, with no stretch. And then you put a good sort of 40-50% stretch on. Bring it up, and the last little bit, no stretch at all. Rub it down. You can probably already see where we're going for this. Second piece is slightly higher up. So again, anchor it with no tension there. I'm going to increase the tension a bit further back on this one. And that's just to make sure we don't inadvertently strap it into plantar flexion. Over the top, and then once again that last little bit with no tension at all. Rub that down again. And then the 2 in the middle, I have to either stabilise the joint or lift the skin to improve the lymphatic drainage, depending on which flavour of woo you like. So anchor it, position the toe where you want it, stretch for the middle bit, and then no stretch for the end. And last but not least, oh, I'm taking the whole paper off, you're not supposed to do that. Again, anchor it with no tension, stretch where you want it, then attach it down. Comfortable?
Yeah.
So So you can see what we've done there. We've actually pulled the toe slightly into abduction. We've created a bit of a gap, and that would stay on for 2 or 3 days if we left it, maybe a little less in a sweaty foot. But that's pretty good. The other thing you can do with this, if you modify that very slightly, is use that for Baxter's. I'll just pause this video a second. Okay, so just to give you the full sort of wraparound view, that's how that looks. I could have gone a little bit further over the end of the toe. If you have a hard time keeping it on, you can wrap it right the way down to interdigital. That's probably more than far enough around on there. Can you hold that for me again? Carefully with the button. Carefully with the button. And try and bring it in a bit so we can see the side of your foot. That's good. So the key thing with this is where it stretches. So for a hallux valgus strap, I would say you want to be stretching it between about there and about there. So zero tension there, about 70-80% tension there, zero tension there. And then you use these to sort of stabilise it. You can also use this for Baxter's nerve entrapment. The Baxter's nerve, or common medial branch of the calcaneal nerve, comes down there and it spreads out that way, and that way. And the abductor hallucis comes down there over the top of it. So sometimes where the nerve comes down there and the muscle runs sort of over the top of it there, you can get an entrapment about there. If you're going to do strapping for that, you do a similar sort of shape and pattern of strapping as this, except your stretch zone would be between there and there. So you'd be stretching along the track of the abductor hallucis, and your stabilising straps, instead of being here, would be about there and there. Sometimes works very well for Baxter's. I'll just pause that again. And there's what it looks like weight bearing. Gives you a nice steady stretch.